Hello and welcome to Jim's Tabletop Wargaming. Today we are taking a look at the recently released Combat Patrol magazine, but before we dive straight in, I need to clarify some things for any newcomers to the hobby by answering one simple question. What is Combat Patrol? There are a few things within the hobby that share this name, but we are focusing on the main three. Starting with the game itself. Combat Patrol is a smaller, simpler and faster way of playing Warhammer 40k. The rules are the same as standard play in most regards, but played with much fewer units and with strict restrictions on what you can field. You use either the army datasheets from the website or from the Warhammer app, both available for free, and deploy your force using the units and equipment listed within. This takes the prep work out of creating your own army list, allowing you to pick up and play a well-balanced, fairly quick game of 40k. The only real freedom you have is in choosing your warlord's enhancement ability and what secondary objectives to achieve. The Combat Patrol boxes contain all the models for those particular army lists and are intended as a starter kit for each faction that you can build, paint and play with without needing to buy separate kits. The variety of units included in a Combat Patrol box is usually pretty good, with units you would typically want multiple of in a full 2k point army list, making them quite an attractive purchase for bulking out your collection. There are savings to be had over buying the models separately, and further discounts available from third-party stores. One thing to keep in mind with 10th edition is that both the Space Marine and Tyranid Combat Patrol boxes are not great value compared with buying the Ultimate Starter set, which comes with both Combat Patrols, some dice and scenery. The same goes for the Leviathan box. If you can find one for a fair price, it has both the Combat Patrols and also the full rulebook. But what if you wanted multiple different Combat Patrols? Well, this new magazine scratches that particular itch by providing multiple Combat Patrols across the entirety of the magazine subscription. There are 9 different factions to collect, along with an additional unit for each faction. Also brushes, paint and some extras for playing the game. You can pick up the various models as they release or subscribe through the Hachette Partworks website. It may be worth keeping an eye out for issues with particular models you want, as it's quite likely you'll be able to pick them up at a significant reduction in price. If it is anything like their previous magazine releases, you may need to buy multiple issues to complete a particular unit if it has multiple sprues, so do keep that in mind. If you do subscribe, there are some free tools included in the basic subscription through their website, along with one free issue. I received issue 2 for free. The included sprues are for the Monopose Terminator Captain and Tyranid Prime, with the second issue containing the Von Ryan's Leapers kit. These models have been included in other kits such as the Leviathan box, starter kits and their respective Combat Patrols, as you might expect from the magazine's name. Issue 1 also includes 6 of these 6-sided dice for playing the game, which will be needed for any 40k game modes. Citadel clippers are free with a subscription. I find them to be a little small and I don't exactly have the biggest hands, but apart from that they work well, and at least some form of model clippers will be necessary for removing the models from the sprue. Citadel mold line remover. These are fine for the intended job of scraping along unwanted leftovers from the moulding process, but they do not do a great job of removing the attachment points. I much prefer using a craft knife and files when it comes to tidying up a model. If you do not have any tools to start with, I would highly recommend taking a look at some Gundam modelling tool sets available online, as they tend to have a greater number of useful tools for a low price. Issue 1 also contains a fold-out battle map which is double-sided and is really all you need to start off with playing Combat Patrol games. It is 22 by 30 inches, which is the usual size of a battle zone board. You would typically use multiple boards to create the Incursion or Strike Force sized battlefield of 44 by 60 inches and Onslaught at 44 by 90 inches. There is an introductory promo leaflet with a large fold-out poster. Mostly this is marketing advertising for the subscription service, and details of freebies and differences between the standard and premium subscriptions. The pricing is pretty familiar if you've seen these kinds of magazines before, with the first issue being £2.99 as a cheap introduction to get you hooked, the second issue rising to £6.99 and all following issues being £9.99. The premium subscription offers some great kits to add to each army for an additional £2 per issue. As for the magazine contents, we have the build instructions for assembling your models, a brief introduction to the world of 40k and a short overview of its factions, datasheets for the included models along with some customization bits for naming units and such, likely as an intro to the concepts of narrative play, a very simplified explanation of the core rules needed to get these units fighting in close combat. It does state that they are going to teach more of the core concepts over subsequent issues, so there is just enough here to get you started rolling dice for melee combat. There are some cutout wound trackers on the rear page as well. Assembling the models is pretty straightforward. Follow the numbers on the sprue and in the instructions to identify each part you need and assemble it in the order specified. I have built these models before in Leviathan, so I'm just removing them without worrying too much about it. Models with fewer parts like these are generally quite easy to assemble even without instructions. Place a flat edge of your clippers against the model, careful of your own fingers. You may need to rotate the sprue to get the best angle and grip on your clippers. Clean up with the line remover tool. With patience this can be done, but be careful of gouging the plastic. Whittle it down gradually with minimal force. The magazine does not come with glue, so you need to purchase that separately. The magazine recommends Citadel glue, which is perfectly fine, but there are alternatives like this Revel plastic glue, or my personal favourite, Tamiya Extra Thin. I've used all three of these glues in the past and they do the job perfectly fine. The reason I lean towards Tamiya is due to the brush applicator. The glue melts the plastic together, and if you're very careful you can tidy some smaller mistakes with it. With these first few issues, glue is not as big of a problem as the models are push fit, but that will not be the case for every unit included with a subscription, so keep that in mind going forward. So what do I think of it? I love it when these types of magazines come out because they tend to flood the second-hand market with cheap kits. During the previous magazine I was able to pick up a sizable amount of Necrons for less than retail price on eBay. It's not uncommon for people to sell off the units they don't want, and it's well worth knowing when things like this are on sale so you can pick up bargains on anything you like the look of. Ultimately I have opted to subscribe to the magazine, and if you want to see more videos around building and painting its contents, then let me know with a like and a comment down below. Big thanks to the channel sponsor The Warp. If you're in the UK, check them out for big discounts on Warhammer products. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.